Echoes of Character, Islamic Stories. Episode 3, Ikhlāṣ, When Only Allah Matters. What is Ikhlāṣ? There is a question every believer should ask. Who am I really trying to please? People may praise us today and forget us tomorrow. They may applaud our good deeds or never notice them at all. But there is one whose sight never fails, one whose knowledge never misses even the smallest intention. That is Allah. In Islam, this purity of intention is called Ikhlāṣ. Ikhlāṣ means doing every good deed for Allah alone, not for applause, not for reputation, not to be admired, but simply because He deserves our worship. The Prophet taught that every action is judged by its intention. The same prayer, the same charity, the same smile can carry completely different value before Allah. Depending on what lies inside the heart, a deed seen by thousands may be worth little, while a hidden act known only to Allah may outweigh mountains. Allah does not look at our appearance, nor at our wealth. He looks at our hearts and our deeds. Throughout history, Allah has shown us remarkable examples of people whose sincerity transformed ordinary actions into extraordinary acts of worship. Today, we explore two beautiful stories that remind us the greatest audience is Allah alone.
Story 1: The Three Men in the Cave. Many years ago, 3 righteous men were traveling together across the land. As evening fell, dark clouds gathered above them. They found shelter inside a cave, hoping to wait until the storm had passed. But suddenly, a tremendous boulder broke loose from the mountain and rolled down, completely sealing the entrance. Darkness surrounded them. No one knew where they were. No one could hear their voices. It seemed there was no escape. One of the men said, "We cannot move this rock by our own strength. But perhaps Allah will rescue us if we call upon Him through deeds that were done sincerely for His sake alone." The others agreed. The first man remembered his elderly parents. Every evening, before feeding his wife or children, he always served his father and mother first. One night, he returned home later than usual. His parents had already fallen asleep. In his hands was a bowl of fresh milk. He stood beside them, waiting quietly, not wishing to wake them and unwilling to give the milk to anyone before them. His own children cried from hunger at his feet, yet he remained patient until dawn, when his parents awoke and drank. Then he prayed, "O Allah, if I did this seeking only your pleasure, then remove part of this hardship." Immediately, the huge rock shifted, and a little light entered the cave. But the opening was still far too small to escape. The second man stepped forward. He remembered a woman whom he had loved deeply. Years passed before he finally had the opportunity to be alone with her. She was in great need and accepted money from him. But as he came close, she said, "Fear Allah and do not approach me except in what is lawful." Those words pierced his heart. Although he had every opportunity, he stepped away. He left both the money and his own desires only because he feared Allah. He raised his hands and prayed, "O Allah, if I abandon that sin only for your sake, then remove more of this hardship." The rock moved again. The opening became larger, but still not enough for anyone to leave. Then the third man remembered a worker. After finishing his work, the man had left without collecting his wages. Instead of keeping the money, he invested it honestly. The years passed. Allah placed great blessing in it. The small payment grew into herds of camels, cattle, sheep, and servants. One day, the worker returned. He asked simply, "Please give me the wages that belong to me." The man pointed toward all the livestock. "Everything you see belongs to you." The worker thought he was being mocked, but the man replied, "I am not joking. I kept nothing for myself. The worker took everything, grateful beyond words. Then the third man prayed, "O Allah, if I did this seeking only your face, then remove what remains of our hardship." At that very moment, the enormous boulder rolled completely away. Sunlight flooded into the cave. The three men walked out safely, saved not by their strength, nor by wealth, nor by cleverness. They were rescued through sincere deeds performed only for Allah. Their story reminds us that Allah never forgets a single act of sincere goodness, even when no one else knows. He knows, even when no one else sees. He sees. The greatest deeds are not always the ones praised by people. They are the ones offered with a heart that seeks only the pleasure of Allah.
Story 2. The Charity No One Saw. The Prophet ﷺ once told us about 7 people who will be sheltered by Allah on a day when there will be no shade except the shade He provides. Among them is a person who gives charity so secretly that his left hand does not know what his right hand has given. Imagine such sincerity. No announcement, no audience, no praise, no one standing nearby to admire the act. Only a hand quietly giving and a heart seeking Allah. Throughout Islamic history, there were believers who understood this meaning deeply. When the streets became silent and families had gone to sleep, some would leave their homes, carrying sacks of food on their backs. They walked through the darkness toward the homes of the poor. No servants announced them. No one called their names. They would quietly place food beside a door and disappear into the night. By morning, a struggling family would open their door and find food waiting for them. Perhaps flour, dates, or other provisions. The family did not know who had brought it. They could not thank the giver. They could not praise him. And that was exactly the point. The giver did not want their praise. He wanted Allah's acceptance. Night after night, the charity continued, quietly, secretly, known to almost no one. Then, one day, the food stopped arriving. The doors remained empty. Only then did some communities realize that the person who had died had been the one caring for the poor in the darkness of the night. What a remarkable way to live, to perform good deeds that no one applauds, to help someone who may never know your name, to give without waiting for gratitude. This is the beauty of Ikhlāṣ. Today, we live in a world where almost everything can be seen. A good deed can be photographed. A gift can be announced. A generous act can be shared with thousands of people in seconds. But Ikhlāṣ asks us a quiet question. Would you still do the good deed if no one ever knew? Would you still give if no one thanked you? Would you still help if your name was never mentioned? Because the greatest audience was never the crowd. Allah saw the hand that gave. Allah knew the heart behind it. And Allah never forgets a sincere deed done only for Him. That is Ikhlāṣ.